I was recently asked how the heck do you tape stripes on an accent wall, or if you want to tape stripes on a room in order to paint stripes. So figured I'd shoot a quick video here and share what I've done in the past and give you two options. So the two different options are using a laser level, so that way you can line up along the corner here and create your stripe that way. In order to do so, I always get my measurement of the width of the stripe that I want for the full width of the wall, and then mark those on a piece of tape that I've taped off the baseboard with. And so that way, I just line up the laser level with my mark, it goes the full length of the wall, and I'm able to tape my stripe. So then you just use the laser level, tape the stripe, move the level, or the laser level into the next one, tape your stripe, and you move all the way down. So that's a pretty quick method, works pretty well. Another option is to create a template. So I had measured out 166 inches of this wall, and I wanted approximately 6.5 inch stripes. I found an odd number because you want to have a stripe in that corner and a stripe in that corner of the color of the stripes. So I divided by 25, which gave me 6.64 or so. And so I found the closest measurement to that was 6 5/8 on my tape measure. So that way I now have approximately the right size stripe that's going to end up with a full stripe at the end. So I create a template. This is 6 5/8. I usually mark it with an arrow, so that way I'm using the same side of the template every single time. I like to tape off the corners just to make sure that I've got kind of sharp corners. Makes it a little easier. And then as I'm taping along, I basically measure out the distance, double checking level and plumb of that stripe as I go, especially because that corner isn't necessarily going to be straight to start. So the first stripe or two, you're going to measure that out and make sure that you're getting it level. And then once you get started, you're able to kind of utilize this template in order to get those stripes where you want them, checking plumb or level as you go. So I'm just going to show you a few stripes here along the way, so that way you get an idea of what I'm talking about and how to use this. Once again, if you got that laser level, mark off along the tape, and then you've got a straight line and you're able to utilize that. You know, sometimes you got to turn off the lights or turn them down in order to see that line really well, and then it takes your body staying out of the way of that level or the laser. So that's the other method. It works pretty fast, but I also find the method of the template as an option to go. This is how I used to do it 10-15 years ago, before laser levels got a little better and easier to use. So let me do a couple tape lines here as a demonstration and show you what I mean. And for now, I'm going to ignore my laser level. Something to note, if you're using a template, you got your first stripe, your next stripe, you're going to overlap the lines in order to get the same width of the stripe. All right, so I'm moving along. I've got my stripes, or I've got stripe, no stripe, stripe, no stripe, stripe. And now I've got them all taped off. So I'm going to be utilizing this side, this side, this side of the tape. So you're able to tell right away. I've seen guys, just to make sure, put like a piece of tape in the middle, make sure they don't paint the wrong stripe when you're painting. Usually you need to do 2 coats of paint. And what I will normally do is right before I paint a section, is I'm just going to press down, make sure everything's sealed with that tape really well before I just start applying. Usually you can use a little hot dog roller or a whiz roller, 4-inch, and hit them. I like to keep the paint a little thinner if I can, instead of slopping it on there, in order not to get a whole bunch of paint where I'm trying to create that edge, especially on the first coat. Once it's sealed, it doesn't really matter as much, but that's just a few tricks there. Like I said, don't overload, slop it in there too much. So you're able to cut the high, cut the low, roll it out, and you're good to go. But that's how you tape off those stripes. You can see the method goes pretty quickly. Usually, if I'm doing an accent wall, I can usually get it done in about an hour. If I'm taping it off, maybe an hour and a half, depending. And then, depending on the width of your stripes, how big the wall is, usually 2 rolls of tape is all you need. Maybe a third, like I said, depending on the size of everything. So that's how you do it. Once again, you've got different types of frog tape. You got your original green, the Delicate Surface, and now they just came out with Advanced frog tape, which is kind of very, very thin, like almost like a washi tape thinness, but still has all the qualities of frog tape. So that's how you tape off stripes. One thing that I will mention is as you get to the end, you're definitely going to want to make sure about a third of the way. So I'm going to get about here on this wall, and I'm going to start measuring to make sure that my stripes are going to line up so I get a full stripe at the end. So sometimes what you have to do is then just mark off your template a little bit in order to shorten it. So what I would do is just kind of take another piece of tape in order to get a new mark. Say I want to take off 1/8 of an inch. So now I've got a piece of tape there, and I can now go to this mark here instead of the full length, and I can shorten them. If I need to lengthen them, you can do the same thing and just extend that out just a little bit with that same piece of tape, and now you have your template extended in order to be able to gain ground or lose ground with your template as you get to the end. So that's taping off stripes on a wall in order to do a stripe accent wall. If you're doing the full room, same methods apply, so that way you're alternating stripes all the way around the room. Usually that becomes a little bit more where you definitely have to be measuring out if you're doing a full room where that last stripe is going to end. And if that's the case, you definitely would then use even number to create an even number of stripes for the whole length of the room. So basically you're going to take a measurement of the whole perimeter, divide that by an even number, so that way you're starting with a stripe and ending without a stripe. Alright, well, thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave a comment in the comment section here, and then be sure to like and subscribe. Appreciate you watching. Have a great day.